The 8-year assault on your Second Amendment freedoms has come to a crashing end. I like taking the guns early. Take the guns first, go through due process second.
Well, I say go fuck yourself. Then ask a question, could I kill a man? I would enjoy myself. You can't disguise the evil eyes that burn a hole in my head. This devil man and his master plan, we feel so misled, so I say, rise up, take it all back. Rise up, take it all back. Rise up. Hope you all understand. We got to take it all back again.
These people are not going to take it any longer. We will never give up. We will never concede. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. But go home and go home in peace. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. You do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay.
Hello everybody, how y'all doing? I just now put up my chat. Kind of threw this together a little bit last second. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to do it. The camera is going to have issues. Hold on, let's go ahead and fix that. Apologies. 1 second. Something I should have done beforehand, but I didn't. There we go. Now that's fixed. Sweet. Bye. Okay. We love you. You are very special. Thanks, little girl. Yeah, you're very special, everybody. Now you go home now, okay? What's up, little girl? What's up, Irish? Go home. We need peace. What's up, OMG? How are you doing? So we are on the Poison Stinger 2. And we are still on D-Live. Apparently, D-Live is not as a great a place as I've heard as it been, or it has. not as great of a place as I heard it was. Some bigger names have gotten taken off of DLive. However, as far as I know, High Impact Flicks is still on it, and that's the reason I originally got on it, because I was like, well, if they're going to accept him on that platform, then I'd probably be nothing in comparison, right? Well, get this. Today, Irish messages me like, hey, bro, I can't watch your video. It's deemed too long. I'm like, well, I haven't had a video that was too long in forever. Maybe it has something to do with my channel being demonetized. So I go over to my channel and no, it's a community guideline strike. A community guideline strike on what? I have been extra careful to not go against their guidelines. Well, apparently it was for a video that I have already deleted last month. You remember the last strike that I got? It was because of Reb's music intro that had some images in it that I changed the intro in order to not get those problems anymore. Now, you remember that original strike that I'd gotten? I fought that. I appealed it and I won. But knowing YouTube will restrike your video a second time, I decided to delete every single video that had that opening on it before I changed it. I deleted it. And then today, I get a notification that a video that I had already deleted back then, on January 20th, the January 20th video, when I said, we have a new president and it's not Trump. That video has gotten a strike for the same thing. And they said, just because you delete a video doesn't mean that something like you can't appeal it. They didn't delete it first. I deleted it first. And somehow they're striking a video that I already deleted. How the hell am I supposed to stay within your community guidelines if I can't delete the videos that I think might violate your guidelines? In fact, I appealed it and I won that appeal. And I still remove those videos just knowing the fact that you were going to come back and strike it again. So now, I don't know how you get out of that. Anyway, that's gotten me all pissy. Arizona roads suck. Matter of fact, Arizona sucks in general. OMG is off to a great start. Thanks for dumping on my day, bro. I like ketchup. Get it.
Is this the evening catch-up?
It is. It is the evening catch-up. This was to go pre-crime. No, that was past crime that I didn't delete in time. So Ralph Malph Ketchup is the reason I call it the ketchup was because me and Irish used to do a thing on his channel called the Morning Muster, which I believe is a Marine terminology. I'm guessing. What's up? 3 strikes and you're out. Dude, your fucking ass is the reason I got strike number 2 originally. I'm still fighting that one. Even after I've deleted the video, they're coming after me. Oh, I'm sorry. You remember that video you deleted last month? Yeah, that went against our community guidelines. So we're giving you a strike. Oh, thank you. You mean the one I deleted? Because I thought it might violate your terms of service. Because you deleted it before, I appealed it and I won, but I was like, yeah, you know what? They're kind of bitches. YouTube's a little bit of a bitch, and they're probably going to come back and strike the same fucking video again. And here you are, YouTube. Thank you very much for proving that fucking point. We will probably do it again. Yes, the jarhead thing. The Morning Muster. Well, I know you got other things planned. If we do, I'm more than looking forward to it. You know I'll be there. I'll always be there. If not, I get it. Things move on. All right, so that's been my day. Well, a little bit of my day. The second part of my day is me and Riddle Girl are now the proud new owners of an Ender 3 Pro. And my, oh my, the instructions are bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. I had to watch a YouTube video, and you know what? I'm watching this YouTube video, and oh, sorry, my camera stopped recording halfway through, so here's what I did. Fuck you. That is not a proper YouTuber. You, sir, are what we like to call an asshole. Go back and take that shit apart, take it all apart, and start the fuck over again, and then insert that into where you missed your footage. That's what real YouTubers will do. You know how many times I took apart and re-put together the Saiga 12 when I did the trigger on that? You think it was just the one time you saw it? I don't think so. Irish says, check your messages, Riddle. I have a verified connection date for the interwebs. Did you watch the videos I suggested? Nah, bro. I first of all, you only sent those like a few minutes ago. Second of all, I was watching one of my people that I like to watch stream over on Twitch. I was going to stream tonight on Twitch, but I was just too upset. Riddle Girl wasn't here and just doesn't seem worth it without her next to you. You know what I mean? You kind of get used to it. It's kind of like Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson. Like if Ed McMahon left, Johnny Carson, yeah, he runs the show, but man, he ain't nothing without his Ed McMahon. You know what I mean? Are you seeing my messages, Irish? You love Arizona. Oh, I bet you do. If we want to talk about states with bad roads, I'm not saying Arizona's got great roads. Believe me, I've been in much better states than Arizona for roads, but nothing beats Texas. I have driven coast to coast. Now, I don't think I've been to every state, but the ones I've been through, Texas will hit you right at the border. As soon as you're going from New Mexico, which is nice. Nicely paved roads. They got a lot of taxes, I guess. Text messages, Riddle. No, I sent them an hour ago. They just now transmitted to you from me. LOL. Irish is over there with that delay on his internet. It's like, it'll be there tomorrow. Yeah, I am fired up, man. I can't believe I have to fight this fight with YouTube. I also know that I can't smoke weed if I'm going to be on a chat because I don't make sense. I barely make sense to myself when I'm not high, let alone when I actually get high. And then all of a sudden I'm like, brr, 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 brr. Looking back at my chat the next day, like, yeah, I can't do that anymore. Arizona is the only state that is for me. Arizona is the only state that is for me. I'm guessing with the roads. Okay. Jub tub or Jew tub? Is that a slang? Is that a naughty word? Did I just do something to get me in trouble on this channel? Do you know that this channel already has a strike? Thank you once again, Rebel. War Drums Network. Thank you very much for that. But it's been long enough. Beep boop boop beep boop, like snail mail, but cellular. There you go. Okay, cool. Oh, I cannot believe it pisses me off. Oh, look at that. I haven't even set this shit up. So next week, I'm going to tell you right now, next week, we're going to be doing 7 o'clock all week long. So if you like this time, screw you, we're going back to 7. And if you like 7, well then congratulations. You get to watch it when you want to, I guess, unless it's some other time. And then fuck you, because I can't accommodate everybody. I hope Arizona and I can consummate our relationship. I go down to Arizona. Ooh, you go down on Arizona? It's better than Virginia. At least here you have constitutional carry. You don't have to have a permit or a license or a permission slip from your government. Sure, I mean, we'll darf your elections, but I mean, you live in Virginia. You're used to that. OMG is going to consummate. Yeah, he is. Jackson Hole. No, that's in Wyoming. Oh my goodness. I did a video earlier. I had to drive 2 blocks away to upload it. Oh my goodness. Why, Broken Patriot? 2 blocks away? What kind of crappy internet do you got?
He's just using his cell phone in that bunker of an apartment he's got now. Can't get no service down there. I bet.
Yeah, I remember when he was talking about, you look at these walls, you see how thick these walls are? They're 3-foot concrete. Thick, they're great for sound editing. You know what else they're great for? Not getting you Wi-Fi signals. Is Arizona felon friendly? We treat all of our felons with the utmost respect in prison. As far as gun ownership and felons, I have no idea, Ralph Mouth. I haven't had to look into that. I don't know any positive news on it, though. Xtube? I know Xtube. We'll be doing this via ham radio soon. I only get 1 bar on my phone. In your house? You need to get better service, bro. Better service. I'm going to start with this one. We'll do the videos later. Ammunition shortages will continue throughout 2021. Director of Public Affairs of the National Shooting and Sports Foundation, Mark Olivia, said gun sales in 2020 surpassed previous records. We all knew that. We had 21 million background checks for a sale of a firearm. That is by far the strongest year we've ever had on record. The previous record before was 2020 was 15.7 million background checks for the sales of a firearm. So it went from 15.7 to 21 million. That's pretty good size. Olivia noted that in 2020 there were 8.4 million gun purchasers from the first-time buyers. Moreover, 40% of overall gun sales were from women, and gun purchases by African Americans spiked by 58%. It really is a tectonic shift when we look at those gun owners this year, and you'll see that today's gun buyer looks like a lot less like me, a middle-aged white guy, and a lot more like the rest of America, Olivia said. Have I ever noticed? So what? I'm middle-aged. I've seen young people. We all know young people in this community, and we love it. Felons are allowed to carry firearms. I have no idea. In Wyoming. Are they? Oh, shit. My hat's off to Wyoming. I don't wear a hat, but if it was, it would be off. My apartment complex is a dead zone for cellular service. I don't know. Have you talked to Verizon? And VT, War Drums Network. I need a CD and some vinyl stickers. Still doing my vinyl graphics. First of all, Bikes, I'm promised a CD before your ass. You know? War Drums Network, we are still waiting on that CD. Yep. Yeah, buddy, I need a CD too. There are drums. See, I'm telling you, man, you got War Drums. I don't even know if he's still here. He needs to get his bandmates' music and somehow figure out that shit so we can sell it. I'm sure plenty of people would buy it. Olivia said the growing number of gun owners has contributed to the increase of demand for ammunition. Maybe. You start to throw in all these new buyers, all the people who are already using already. It's like a drug. And you start to throw in a bit of panic effect that goes with the scene of bare shelves. You kind of get the picture of why it's been so difficult to find ammunition we need. How about so difficult to find components? They haven't made a primer all year. I doubt they made even one primer for the general public all year long. Olivia said is uncertain when manufacturers will catch up to the heightened demand for ammunition. We probably are going to have an elevated buying that is going to go well into this year. However long that goes on for will ready be dictating by the opening moves of the Biden administration when it comes to gun control, Olivia said. Obviously. You gotta love that good gun control. That's gonna get us where we need to go. Now we are doing math. Nice. Gotta love Common Core. Oh yeah, Broken Patriot, I would have thought your new complex would have a fancy shamancy gym. Yeah. I gotta go to workout video. No, it's porn. Joe Biden's a B word. Naughty, naughty. Parler. John Matz says he has been fired as CEO of Parler, the alternative to Twitter and Facebook that became a popular choice for conservatives after a large social media companies went on a censorship spree. Still going on that spree, aren't we, YouTube? Mate's announcement Wednesday followed Amazon's 11th of January decision to remove Parler from its web hosting service over its unwillingness to censor so-called hate speech, a term with shifting definitions for liberals. Google and Apple removed Parler's app from their online stores. Mates, in a post on the professional networking site LinkedIn, thanked Parler employees. "This is not goodbye, it's just so long for now," he wrote. Mates linked to a report by Fox Business quoting a memo from him to employees that said that he was fired January 29th by the Parler board controlled by the conservative donor Rebecca Mercer. The Parler board controlled by Rebecca Mercer, decided to immediately terminate my position as CEO of Parler, the memo said. I did not participate in this decision. But popular conservative talk show host and podcaster Dan Bongino, one of the 3 board members and apparent co-owner, said in a hasty recorded Facebook video that Mates was not telling the truth about what happened behind the scenes at Parler. He said Mates claimed to be fighting for a free speech platform and product stability in his memo to employees, but it was really the board who was advocating those positions. He is no white knight in this story, Bonagino said. The full video down there somewhere. Let's see. It does riddle, but you gotta wear a mask, and it only open during office hours. Yeah, I won't work out with a mask. I got my 6-month appointment coming up. They're gonna be like, man, you haven't lost enough weight. Well, I'm gonna be like, fuck you, I ain't wearing a mask. I want you to work out. You want to talk about catching your breath? He's so great, like cornflakes. Being forced to wear a mask while working out makes sense. Why would you buy your own? Exactly. Uncle Joe putting out his feelers. That one was funny. I like that one. Ralph Malph. Yellen warns of tough months ahead, urges Congress to act. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned of tough months ahead, with Sniffles 19 continuing to flare, make it critical that Congress pass President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion relief package. In her first public interview since becoming the Treasury Secretary last week, Yellen said that Biden is willing to cooperate with Republicans to pass the measure on bipartisan basis. Democrats in Congress have signaled, however, that if the GOP support is not forthcoming, they are prepared to pass the measure with only Democrat support. On Wednesday, the House passed on a nearly party-line vote budget bill that would allow special rules to be used in the Senate to pass the relief bill by a simple majority rather than the 60 votes needed for most Senate bills. So if we don't like your law, we'll just pass another law that says we don't have to follow your law. Sounds good. Sounds like that's how America's supposed to work. This is really an urgent need, and we need to act big, Yellen said Thursday on ABC's Good Morning America. We've got some tough months ahead until we get control of the pandemic. Asked how it feels to be the first woman to serve as Treasury Secretary, Yellen, who gives a fuck, was also the first woman to lead the Federal Reserve, said that the legacy she seeks is in the passage of a sniffle relief measure. Well, obviously, we got to do that. Oh, get this. I had to go get my blood drawn today. I go to the doctor's office. Oh, you got to wear the mask. You got to wear the mask. And then my mask ain't good enough for them. No, they have to give me a sanitary paper one because the paper one's much better than the cloth one. It's so much thinner, so much more breathable, right? So I'm just like hold it together, Stinger, hold it together. Right, I'm finally out of there. I get on that elevator. The elevator took forever because they only have one elevator because for some reason having 2 elevators is much more dangerous to have in the pandemic. You only need one elevator. So I'm waiting on this one friggin' elevator, right? I finally got this one elevator. I take my mask off. I'm like, fuck you, mask, and I put it right on the handle of the elevator, right? I hit my floor down to motherfucking 1. And we're going down, and I'm on the 3rd floor. Guess what? The door's open, and I'm so fuming. I'm like, I'm ready to go, and I'm walking out. I'm like, oh, wrong floor. And there's this guy there with a walker and his mask on, giving me the bug eyes, waiting for the elevator. I jump back in the elevator, and he just gives me one of these. And so I keep on going down. That one made me laugh. America faces an economic crisis that is as serious as I've seen in my lifetime, Yellen said. The goal, she said, is to ensure that Americans don't suffer needlessly. Well, that's nice. Contributing to the passage of the relief bill, which she said by some estimates could reduce childhood poverty by 50% and would be a great legacy for me. Not for Biden, for her. Okay. How is this going to reduce childhood poverty by 50%? I kind of need to know that. you're going to give us $1,200, and that's going to have childhood poverty. Okay. Yellen also spoke about recent stock market trading turmoil that pitted smaller online investors against massive hedge funds. That fight, led by a band of traders on Reddit, have sent shares of severe damaged companies like GameStop and AMC soaring. Yellen said she is meeting later Thursday with federal regulators from the Securities and Exchange Commission and Federal Reserve on the Commodities Future Trading Commission. Ooh, that was a lot of big words. We really need to make sure that our financial markets are functioning properly and efficiently and the investors are protected, she said. The meeting will focus on what happened and whether any regulatory action is warranted. I would imagine cat tastes food. Cat tastes good. Cats and Rona taste nothing. Okay. You guys are off on your own thing. Okay. So we'll go ahead and watch some.
We now have confirmation that we are definitely getting under the skin of old Joe's spokesperson, Jen Circleback Psaki, by mocking her for always telling reporters that she'll have to circle back to them because she doesn't know the answer to any of their questions. Because she's almost as big of an embarrassment as old Joe and she's supposed to be a professional spokesperson, her team did her homework for her and then she finally did circle back.
And last thing I just want to do before we get to your questions, I often note I'm going to circle back. I hate to disappoint conservative Twitter, but I am going to circle back on a number of things, as we often do directly.
Conservative Twitter, of course, she's talking about us. And Jen, I'm not disappointed. In fact, you're one of my favorite characters in this new administration.
I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back with him. I'm happy to circle back with you.
And because she's become a complete laughingstock and makes a bigger fool of herself every day, the White House has reportedly asked the press corps to submit their questions to her in advance of the White House press briefings because it's all just political theater. I'm sure that most of the reporters actually feel bad for her and they're not trying to stump her. They're just asking her normal questions. She's just that out of touch and that in over her head. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the reporters actually privately reach out to her and ask her which questions she wants them to ask. And they'll probably bring Jeff Gannon back into the press corps. Some of you have to remember the Jeff Gannon story. He was that fake reporter from a non-existent news agency who was mysteriously given White House press credentials and then lobbed softball questions to George W. Bush's White House press secretary. And when people started wondering, like, who is this guy and who does he work for? It opened up kind of a big can of worms. And let's just say that he probably had another job working at the Bohemian Grove during the summer.
It came out this week, the Freedom of Information request was granted, and you made 36 visits, apparently, to the White House at times when there were no press briefings going on. On 14 occasions, the Secret Service has no record of your entry and exit times. What were you doing in the White House?
I'm not going to get into it here, man, but I did write a whole book about the Bohemian Grove back in 2015 called Bohemian Grove Facts and Fiction, if you're interested, and if you can stomach it. Aside from finally and proudly circling back, Jen Psaki, Raggedy Ann, also said that the Biden administration wants to further, of course, restrict freedom of speech on social media.
As you know, President Trump has been barred from a lot of social media sites. Does President Biden support the continuing ban of President Trump on their sites?
I think that's a decision made by Twitter. We've certainly spoken to, and he's spoken to, the need for social media platforms to continue to take steps to reduce hate speech, but we don't have more for you on it than that.
That's right. The government should be telling us what we can and cannot say on social media, especially those newer social media sites that actually allow free expression.
Reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. And algorithmic reach is part of the problem.
The New York Times is calling for the...
So we're not going to send you to jail. We're just going to make it so that you don't get your voices heard. That's still okay, right? Freedom of speech. No, you still have the right to speak, Stinger. Just because you got a second community guideline strike on your video and we're going to shut you down for a video that you deleted last month, we're still gonna give you a strike. But that doesn't take away your freedom of speech, just your freedom of reach. Says the platform who swears they're going to be a soapbox and a beacon of freedom of speech. Okay.
The formation of a new government commission, which would do just that, which they want to be headed up by someone they call the reality czar, who will tell us what's real and what's not. And
To Broken Patriot, Tom McDonald had a really great line in that fake woke song that I played a few days ago. Well, there's a different, and it quotes, there's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. Not too much truth left to reduce. There's a difference between hate speech. There you go. Riddle Girl already did it.
Thus, what we're allowed to say and not say on social media. And some liberal academics at New York University have just published a study titled False Accusation, the unfounded claim that social media companies censor conservatives.
Oops,
and
I
they have
guess I'm in
declared
trouble.
once and for all that conservatives are not being censored or treated unfairly by the big tech companies. The report has decided that
There
we
you
aren't
go.
being censored, we just break the rules more, and denies that there is any selective enforcement of the rules, and responded to the long and growing
How about
list
this?
of
I can get a
conservative
strike. I
content
can
that
appeal it.
gets
I can
taken
win that
down
appeal, and then that
causes
video will
outrage
get
and then
striked
is restored
again for the
by
same
saying
damn
that
reason.
big
And the
tech
second time I
making
lose that
mistakes.
appeal.
The report also cited the secret
That happened
dinner
on my
Ben
first
Shapiro
strike.
had with Mark Zuckerberg as proof that Facebook is not treating conservatives unfair because Mark Zuckerberg had one of the biggest ones over to his house for dinner. Or over to one of his houses, I guess, to be clear. Technically, Ben Shapiro's stance on transgender people is a violation of the terms of service
Yep.
on the major platforms. But unlike countless others who have said exactly the same thing and gotten posts taken down, suspended, and strikes, Ben will be just fine. He's protected. He's in the club. He's their token example that they allow free speech on the platform because Ben Shapiro is allowed to be here, but there's a lot of issues that Ben won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Like, I don't know, the Bohemian Grove. You probably heard that Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, got banned from Twitter because he has a belief about the election that
Yeah, you
apparently
remember
not
that?
allowed to
When he
have
walked out.
anymore since we're not a free country. And that was his personal account, but now the My Pillow account, the official business account, was also permanently banned from Twitter. Can you imagine if the tables were turned and every Democrat who made claims that Trump stole the 2016 election got banned from social media for
Can you imagine
spreading
that?
misinformation? I mean, I guess it'd be kind of a nice place on one hand, but on the other hand, it'd be pretty boring, not to mention completely un-American. But we're under the rule of Silicon Valley now. Jack Dorsey, Mark Zuckerberg, and Susan Wojcicki have usurped the Constitution. And have you noticed that the social media companies are the only businesses where you can't walk into a brick and mortar store and actually talk to a manager face to face about your problems? You can't even get a manager on the phone. You can't get anyone on the phone. They don't want to talk to you.
Not unless you're a big
They
channel.
hate
And even then,
After all, why would they
good
care
luck.
about what the products have to say about the company? They care about the actual customers, the advertisers, the Democrat Party, and the liberal establishment. And just a heads up, and some of you may have already experienced this, but YouTube is now banning people even if they haven't uploaded any videos
Yep.
to their channel.
We know of a
because
few people that got
what
in trouble
they're
for this.
saying in the comments. So be sure to follow me on Gab, MeWe, Rumble, and Telegram. YouTube just censored the full speech that President gave at the Save America rally. That's the rally on January 6th. From Ford Fisher's channel. He goes out and gets a lot of raw footage at events and then licenses that footage to other news agencies. He's a professional videographer. He uploaded the full speech. It was just censored by YouTube. And he pointed out numerous other news agencies, local news agencies, ABC,
messed up.
NBC affiliates that still have the speech, the full speech up on their channels. And that's fine, but if you're just an independent channel, an independent videographer, you're not allowed to actually show what President Trump said at that speech. Oh, and I almost
Feels like
forgot
freedom
that
of speech
bogus
to me.
study by New York University that falsely claims conservatives aren't being censored and treated unfairly on social media claims that by saying that we are, that is spreading misinformation.
Right
And
there.
There's a big push by the Democrat Party to stop the spread of misinformation. So we may get to the point here fairly soon where just pointing out that we're being treated unfairly and being censored will get us censored even more. So I'm going to start doing some interviews with some people who have some
So there's pretty much all that. Okay. Truth is a real bitch. Fact checking is now what Google is all about. Zuckerberg looks weird. They will strike a video or post from years ago. Yes, they will. They've done it many a times from me already. I've been getting strikes for the last few years on old videos, especially right after the whole thing in Vegas happened. And all of a sudden, all my bump stock videos are getting in trouble. Chromos and homos. Zuckerberg looks like a robot most days. He does, doesn't he? It looks like Data from Star Trek with those really pale face and red eyes. Yep. And then exactly, that's why they call him Data. Rick, people look weird usually. Listen to some of the AOC speeches. They are pretty much full of hate against the right, you know? AOC is a joke, eat the rich. I like that song. Orwell's Freedom of Speech. AOC is a horse in a person's suit. Maybe. I was watching this. This was yesterday's Tucker. I'm not necessarily going to play it, but this, I don't know. You guys let me know if you want to watch this. This is interesting to me. I want to watch it after this, if nothing else. Basically, the whole thing around the Kennedy assassination. We all know that Oswald was a communist. He went to Russia, for crying out loud, but they blamed him being a conservative, and the conservative killed the liberal president. And here's what I got to say about this. We always got to say, well, you know, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. Yeah, they're the bad guys, but, you know, I still know some good Democrats out there. You know, my driver, he's a Democrat, and we might not agree on a lot of things, but he's an okay guy. You know, it's fine. Well, what about them old Kennedy Democrats? Weren't they the greatest? You know, you didn't agree with them, but you could at least go to lunch with them and all that. No, they always, this has been in their playbook for a long time, at least since the Kennedy assassination, if not longer. They'll see an event, they will twist it, they will spin it, and then all of a sudden a communist who doesn't like JFK for being that conservative and he wants to be more communist. This guy, then all of a sudden everybody in Texas is a bunch of white bigots and they just killed him because they didn't like his, you know, policy, because they're white and they're conservatives. Right? How many shots with a bolt action? I don't know. We're going to get into that whole thing? Don't even get me started. That's not why I brought that up. U.S. rushes to catch up in the race to detect mutants. You know, like the turtles under the sewers. Despite its world-class medical system and its vaunted Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the U.S. fell behind in the race to detect dangerous sniffle mutations, and now it's only beginning to catch up. The problem, first of all, we've had the sniffles for years. This 19th one is just this latest mutation. We've been around the sniffles or the beer flu for years. There's plenty of products out there that have had that in their descriptions way before this was ever out. The problem has not been a shortage of technology or expertise. Rather, scientists say it's an absence of national leadership and coordination. It's Trump's fault. Plus, a lack of funding and supplies for overburdened laboratories trying to juggle diagnostic testing with the hunt for generic changes. We have the brains, we have the tools, we have the instrument, says Ian, whatever his name is, director of Sniffle Research at the Center of University of California, Irvine. It's just a matter of supporting that effort. Trump was horrible. Sniffles mutate constantly. To stay ahead of the threat, scientists analyze samples, watching closely for mutations that might make the sniffles more infectious or more deadly. But such a test has been scattershot. Less than 1% of positive specimens in the U.S. are being sequenced to determine whether they have worrisome mutations. Other countries do better. Britain sequences about 10%, meaning they can more quickly see threats coming at them. That gives them greater opportunity to slow or stop the problem. Whether they're more targeted contract tracing, possible adjustments to the shot, or public warnings. Yeah, I have people in England that I know, and they're in lockdown. You can't do shit. You can't go nowhere. I'll have to admit, It's still better to be here than most other places. And that's sad to say, because this is not the America we all remember growing up in. However, it's still the best place out there right now. That should tell you where our world is at. The CDC officials say variants have not driven recent surges in overall U.S. cases, but experts worry that what's happening with the variants is not clear and say the nation should have been more aggressive about sequencing earlier in the epidemic, and that has now killed 450,000 Americans. And you know, the person trying to get on that elevator when I was going down is one of these people that know exactly how many people have died over this sniffle variant. His wide eyes when I come barreling out of that thing without anything covering my face. If we had evidence it was changing, said Ohio State molecular biologist Dan Jones, maybe people would have acted differently. U.S. scientists have detected more than 500 cases of a variant first identified in Britain and expected to become the cause of most of this country's new infections in a matter of weeks. Another troubling variant tied to Brazil and a third discovered in South Africa were detected last week in the U.S. and are also expected to spread. Here's the thing. Go ahead and get your shot. Get your shot. If you want to get your shot, get your shot. Know that shot, though, that's not the end of it. Absolutely not the end of it. So many variants. This will go on forever. As long as you guys, and I mean Americans and people around the world, as long as you allow it. The British variant is more contagious and is believed to be more deadly than the original, while the South African one may render the shot somewhat less effective. The ultimate fear is that a variant resisting to the existing shots and treatment could eventually emerge. Oh, it will. It definitely will. We got to have more money. I mean, Bill Gates didn't make enough from that first one. He's got to have a sequel. Potentially worrisome versions made from inside the U.S. too. This shot is mutating. And it doesn't care if it's in Idaho or South Africa. But the true dimensions of the problem is in the U.S. are not clear because of the relatively low level of sequencing. Well, there you go. My 30-06 holds 5 rounds. My 7mm mag holds 3 rounds. My 303 British has 10-round mag in it. Wow. You know how many my bolt action takes? 0. I don't have a bolt action. Isn't that sad? I thought about getting one a few times. Thought about getting the, the one everybody was getting with the Cosmoline. You know the one. You know the thing. And then I was thinking about getting the Savage Model 10. I want to get a 300 Win Mag, or at least I did at one time. I don't know. I'm looking at making a 308 AR-10 now. But we'll see. People are saying that the rising gas prices are Trump's fault. Well, I mean, look at Obama. How many years did he blame Bush? He blamed Bush for the first 4 at least. It's not 19 because it's the 19th mutation. It's 19 for the year it was discovered in the Yeah, I know that. I know that, OMG. Thank you very much. It's been around a while. That's all I'm saying. Whoa, infields are old school. Mosin Nagant. Thank you, Irish. That's what I was looking at. All right, let's watch some of this.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Happy Wednesday.
Because I want to.
On November 22nd, 1963, a man called Lee Harvey Oswald murdered the President of the United States. There were a lot of questions about what happened, but there was never any question about who Lee Harvey Oswald was. Oswald was a passionate and committed communist. In 1959, he gave up his American passport and defected to the Soviet Union. There, he married a Russian woman and lived in Minsk. 3 years later, he returned to this country and immediately began attending rallies in support of Fidel Castro, the communist leader of Cuba. In the fall of 1963, Oswald traveled to Mexico City and met with KGB agents there. A few months before, in Dallas, he tried to murder General Edwin Walker because Walker had given speeches attacking communism.
Exactly.
So Lee Harvey Oswald never hid his politics, not for a moment. He talked incessantly about communism to anyone who would listen. And yet many Americans never really understood what Lee Harvey Oswald believed, and they didn't understand it because news outlets didn't tell them. Instead, almost immediately, the media began spinning a very different story. President Kennedy, they suggested, had been murdered by conservatives, possibly by conservatism itself, by hate, as they often put it. The explanation was never very precise, but the idea was always the same. Right-wingers killed Kennedy. The Soviet Union, naturally a suspect in this crime, was happy to agree with the assessment. As a Soviet spokesman put it, moral responsibility for the Kennedy assassination lay squarely with, quote, Barry Goldwater and other extremists on the right. In the end, the coordinated lying paid off. A year later, Senator Barry Goldwater lost to the incumbent Democrat Lyndon Johnson in a historically lopsided presidential election. By that point, many voters associated Goldwater with murder. As the decades passed, the media kept repeating this lie. By the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, the New Yorker magazine was still blaming, quote, anti-communism for the fact that an avowed communist had murdered the president. Just because it's absurd doesn't mean they won't say it with a straight face.
Exactly.
By now, it's likely that most Americans believe that's exactly what happened, and why wouldn't they believe it? That's what they've been told. That point is worth ruminating on and remembering. History is a political tool. History is not simply a record of what happened. History is a way to shape the future. History is used to hurt some people and to help other people gain power. History is never neutral. We're watching our own history being written before us right now. Consider this clip. It is from MSNBC last night. In this clip, famous historian Michael Beschloss compares what happened at the Capitol on January 6th to what happened to America on September 11th.
This was a president of the United States inciting an insurrection, a terrorist attack on Congress. We observed 9/11. We remember the fact that there were attacks that landed, one that almost landed, which was an effort to fly an airplane into the Capitol, kill a lot of members of Congress. That almost happened. Here is a terrorist attack that did happen.
So we observe 9/11, he says. Going forward, we must observe January 6th. Maybe we'll need a memorial on the Mall. As Beschloss has said repeatedly in the last 24 hours, and very pointedly, we must, quote, never forget. Now, it's true it's pretty easy to make fun of Michael Beschloss. Beschloss is a historian in the same sense that 7-Eleven is a restaurant. Like a convenience store, Beschloss is everywhere. It could be 3 in the morning on a cold December night, and you could still pick up a pint of Michael Beschloss if you needed one. Just don't consume too much of it. It's not nutritious. And yet still, an awful lot of people eat this stuff. And that's the point. Michael Beschloss sells what is called popular history. It's the kind of history that sticks. And that's just the history being assembled in print and on cable news, which at this point, and let's be honest about it, are the media of choice for those of us who lived in a world before the internet. They're media for older people. For Americans under 30, history is written exclusively on social media, and that's where the real demagogues live. Tech platforms are the domain of people for whom factual reality is not even a consideration. It's a completely different way of thinking. Once you've decided that biology itself is not real, you are free from the conventional restraints of reality. At that point, what actually happened in a given place at a given time is totally and completely irrelevant. Ideology is all that matters. Sandy Cortez is a master of this medium, of course. Watch her description of the events of January 6th, broadcast to kids across the country on Instagram.
I jump into my bathroom, and I close the door, and I just keep hearing these bang, bang, bang. I open the door when all of a sudden I hear that whoever was trying to get inside got into my office. And I just hear, "Where is she? Where is she?" And this was the moment where I thought everything was over.
So we played clips like that for you before, and we've always made fun of them. There she is again, defender of the common man, yammering on about the only subject she really cares about, herself. Wallowing around in Lake Me like it's interesting to anyone but her. Narcissism on parade, the perfect symbol of a culture dying from self-involvement. We've said that before, and we have laughed as we did. But actually, it's not funny. People will believe this crap. Some already do.
That's
Anyone
right.
who was physically present at the Capitol that day knows it's ridiculous. There were no rioters in Sandy Cortez's hallway. Trump voters weren't trying to kill her. Neither were other U.S. senators. A lot of the rioters were angrier at Mitch McConnell than they were at any Democrat. To some extent, what you saw on January 6th was an intra-party struggle. Not all of it, but some of it. An act of mindless destruction aimed at Republican leaders, born of long simmering frustration. The people who run the Republican Party don't care about the people who elect them. That has long been true. Republican voters finally figured it out. It's one of the main things they learned during the Trump years. And on January 6th, they exploded. Lindsey Graham was likely in graver danger than Sandy Cortez or Ilhan Omar. They were literally calling poor Mike Pence's name. He didn't do anything. They were furious with him. Now, that's not a defense of anyone's behavior, much less a defense of rioting, which, unlike the other channels, we do not support and will never support. It's not even an ideological point. It's just true. That's what happened. But at this point, the truth doesn't matter. What matters is who gets to write the history of what happens, who gets to define what the truth is. They're the ones who will control the future. That's why they're doing it. There's a reason that within hours, Democrats began describing the riot as a racial attack. It was confusing to hear that at first. If you watched it and knew what happened, we were completely confused. Awful as it was, there was nothing racial about what happened that day. Claiming otherwise is absurd. It's a fantasy. It's a lie.
There's just a whole bunch of white guys,
no one
right?
pushed back against that lie, so they kept repeating it. Now, weeks later, it is the accepted version of what happened. Powerful lawmakers just say it from the House floor like it's fact, like it's been proven in some objective inquiry, and everyone knows it's true.
America has been through a civil war, world wars, a Great Depression, pandemics, McCarthyism, and now a Trumpist and white nationalist insurrection.
White nationalist insurrection. Again, it was awful. It was not that. But you've got to ask yourself, why are they claiming that it was that? Think about it. You know the answer. Everyone knows the answer. Though almost everyone is too cowardly at this point to say it out loud. And the answer is this. They're saying that despite the fact they know it isn't true, so they can lump you in with the people who broke into the Capitol and punish you for crimes you did not commit and never supported. If what happened on January 6th was a riot, and it was, then we can arrest the rioters and punish them, and we should. If what happened on January 6th was an insurrection, however, if it was a failed revolution, an attempted coup, then it's something else entirely. If it's that, then we need a military response. We need a new war against our own population. And not surprisingly, that's exactly what they're calling for.
Even at the seeming height of the crisis immediately after 9/11, there really weren't that many members of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. And the thrust of our campaign there was, yes, to hunt down al-Qaeda, but primarily to remove the supportive environment in which they were able to flourish. And that meant fighting the Taliban. And I think that is the heart of what we need to deal with here. Hunting down people who are criminals.
Hunt them down like al-Qaeda.
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. Little girl just gave me her phone. She just got an email from YouTube on her channel. We want to let you know that our team reviewed your content and thinks it violates our spam, deceptive practices, and scam policies. We know this may not have... We know you might not have realized this was a violation of our policies, so we're not applying a strike to your channel. However, we have removed the following content from YouTube. Pistol brace update plus big tech and weaponizing platforms. Evening Catchup 12/18/2020. Spam. Y'all feel spammed? Did I spam you and deceptive practices you on 12/18/2020? My goodness. So she can appeal. I don't know. I mean, if you want to appeal it. It's not a strike, but at the same time, well, luckily you don't have a lot of Evening Catchups on your channel. Oh my goodness. Okay, good 6th, and thanks again, and have to have some time for the ad to our economy as soon I could get off the money to go to a new house is a great place for you, and you are. Non-standard cartridges and arms are illegal for felons according to federal law. Okay. Little fraud AOC. Was Trump supporter female really killed? Is that the little game when cops let everyone in? Pretty much. Rioters don't follow velvet ropes. Yeah, baby.
To be completely clear, we're not overstating this. We are not hysterical. We're just close listeners. By them, he means Americans who were nowhere near the Capitol on January 6th, had no role in what happened that day, and didn't support it. That's the assessment from a former CIA official who spent years hunting al-Qaeda in the Middle East. No one in Washington appears to think this kind of talk is alarming in a formerly peaceful republic like ours. Just today, Senator Mitch McConnell, the leader, sent out a tweet blasting Vladimir Putin for some misdeed or other. In the U.S. Senate, Russia is still the real threat. Not quite as upset about China somehow. But what McConnell didn't mention, and almost never does, are his own voters, the ones now being reclassified as al-Qaeda terrorists and treated accordingly. On Monday, the Washington Examiner, which claims to be a right-of-center publication, whatever that means at this point, ran a piece by a former CIA officer called Kevin Carroll. According to Kevin Carroll, quote, "We saw 5 dead in the January 6th attempted coup d'etat." Now, Carroll didn't explain who exactly those 5 people were or how exactly they died.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell you that, will they?
Facts were not the point. The point was that this was an attempted coup d'etat, and the U.S. government needs to act accordingly. Again, we are quoting here. Quote, "We defeated al-Qaeda and can do the same thing to the fascist thugs who attacked our democracy last month, but only if we take similar hard measures against the enemy within." Treating Americans like al-Qaeda, the enemy within. Apparently, that's the new conservative position on the riots of January 6th. And why wouldn't it be the position of everyone in this country? Because that's the history they are writing. And we're letting them. But we should be prepared for the consequences of that history.
Here's the thing. You are, I know a lot of people out there, and especially a lot of people watching my stuff too. Oh, we can't do anything. We got to be better. We got to be the ones in the righteousness, right? We got to make sure we do God's plan. We got to make sure we're in the right. We got to, have the moral high ground. I don't agree with that. There are plenty of times in the Bible where God commands his people to go slay their fellow or their foe, and not to do it in a very nice way. Like, it's not even humane. Why do we have to have the moral high ground? They're obviously calling for all of our skins. I don't know. That's where I'm going to end that, though. I don't know. They're coming for you. They're coming for you whether you put up a video and you try to stay in the lines and you try to be PC. They're coming for you for that. They're coming after you if you just comment. So when you're making your comments in this chat, be aware that your comments can and will get you a strike here on YouTube. If you comment wrong, you have people literally ready to put us all in camps and re-educate us. And yet we're not doing anything because, well, we have to have the moral high ground. Or I'll do something when they actually come for me. You really... I don't understand why people don't get that when that happens, when it gets to that point, it's too late. So you've already decided that you're going to be a loser. Great. I'm glad that you've decided you're going to be a loser and you're ready to either die or go to jail. I'm glad that's what you want. That's not what I want. So there you go.
That's how Quantum Lotus lost her channel.
You can get a community strike. Yes, you can. You can get a strike on your comments. Quantum Lotus got a strike and is no longer allowed to watch us on YouTube and has to watch us on DLive because they're not allowed to comment anymore because they said something really bad, apparently, according to YouTube, and they are now have a strike. I don't know when that strike it stops or if it ever does.
No, they said permanently banned.
They're permanently man, that must have been really bad.
They've been in YouTube jail a few times, and now they're permanently banned.
There you go. They're permanently banned. And don't forget, the video of mine that got striked today was a video I personally deleted last month. When, remember the last time I got a strike, I fought it and I won? I deleted every video that had that song on it. I deleted them. And they still struck a video that was deleted. Not today. I didn't delete it today. I didn't delete it yesterday. I deleted it last month. And they gave me a strike for a video that I have deleted last month, trying to stay within their guidelines. Even though I won the appeal, let me really emphasize this. That video was striked because of graphic nature, right? I'm guessing it was the stuff in there of Rebs. It was the only graphic stuff that was in there. And all that shit was blurred, right? So I fought that strike and I won that appeal. And they just put it as an age restriction. However, because of my first strike that I have here on YouTube, I knew that they were going to come back to that same video and strike it again. Because that's what happened on my first video that got striked. It got striked, I appealed, I won the appeal, they reinstated it, they struck it again. So this time, I'm like, I'm going to beat them to it. I'm going to delete every single video that has that on there. And that way I don't have to mess with it. I don't have to mess with it. Nobody goes back and watch those anyway, so no problem. I'll just delete those old ones. Not a big deal. It's better than doing that than having another strike. Because I know they're going to come back and they're going to re-strike it. Just like they did in my first video. And guess what? They sure as hell still did. Even though it was already deleted. How am I supposed to stay within your community guidelines if you won't allow me to make corrections to things that I did that might violate your community guidelines? You don't have it spelled out what I can and cannot do. I have to fucking guess. And when I'm guessing that, oh, they didn't like that one and it had all those videos that I blurred out that I won that appeal on, I'll just delete them just to be on safe measures. And then you're still gonna strike a video that's been deleted. Okay, thanks a lot, YouTube. Insane. YouTube sucks a big juicy. YouTube is the basement full of caged children. Juicy Jew gummies. Yep. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Next week we're gonna have this at 7 o'clock all week long, and I'm gonna decide if that's where I'm gonna have it from now on, and it might be. The Evening Catchup might only be at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 Central, 9 p.m. Eastern from now on. I think I have an organized way of how I want to do things, and I think that if I can get the Evening Catchup at one single time at 7 o'clock every single night, Monday through Friday, I think that's a good step along my journey to getting more organized and finding that life balance. I don't know about you all, but I have a hard time finding my life balance. I'm burning too many candles at too many ends, and I've got too many pots in the fire and all of those sayings that you want to use, right? So I need to get more structured, and I need to have a little bit more of an idea what I'm doing every day. And so that's what we're doing next week. Next week, all 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 6 Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Other than that, that's all I got for you. I don't even think I have descriptions in this video because I kind of just threw it together. I was not sure if I was even going to put this up tonight, to be honest. I had a shit day, and I just wanted to sit back and get stoned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and I'm going to sit back and get stoned, and then I'm going to try to play with a 3D printer and figure out where the hell the filament goes. Have we ever even figured that out yet?
We don't know where the filament goes.
We don't know where the filament goes. We think we have it on correctly. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Thank you very much for joining me on the Evening Catch-Up. Make sure to check us out tomorrow at 7 p.m. We will be doing a Green Dragon tomorrow, just so you know. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Until then, though, make sure to keep your family close. Watch out for that government. Watch out for that social media. And try to live as free as you can in this tyrannical world we find ourselves living in. Until then, man, share the shit out of this bitch. Peace.